American food comes from many cultures joining together. Every region has unique flavors, from coastal seafood to spicy dishes in the Southwest. Here are the most popular dishes and regional flavors that characterize American cuisine. Clam chowder. When we think of warm and cozy soups, clam chowder is one of the first that comes to mind. It's a creamy soup made with clams, potatoes, onions, and sometimes pork. People in America have loved it for hundreds of years, and it is seen as one of the country's first big food traditions. Long ago, the Pilgrims arrived near Plymouth Rock in 1620. They were hungry and needed food, so they turned to clams, which were easy to find along the New England shores. They cooked the clams in pots of water over fire, adding what they had like onions and potatoes. The word chowder may have come from a French word for a cooking pot or from another word meaning hot water. As years went on, the chowder became creamy when people began adding milk. By the 1800s, different versions started to appear. Some used crackers, butter, or even bits of fish. Today, there are three main kinds: New England clam chowder, which is white and creamy; Manhattan clam chowder, which is red with tomatoes; and Rhode Island clam chowder, which is clear. In New England, chowder is so loved that festivals and contests are held just to celebrate it. Lobster rolls. After chowder, another food from New England takes the spotlight: the lobster roll. A lobster roll is made with lobster meat placed inside a soft toasted bun. It can be mixed with butter, lemon, or mayonnaise, and sometimes has celery or herbs for flavor. When settlers first came to America, lobsters were so common on the shores that piles of them were found along the beaches. At that time, lobsters were not seen as special. In fact, they were fed to prisoners, workers, and even used as fertilizer for crops. Some people even wrote rules saying they could not be served lobster more than a few times a week. But things changed when trains and canning made it easier to sell lobster inland. People who had never seen it before thought it was fancy and delicious. By the 1800s, lobster was being served fresh in big cities like Boston and New York, and the price went up. During World War II, lobster was not rationed like other meats, so people began to think of it as a special food. The lobster roll was first made in Connecticut in 1926 at Perry's restaurant. Soon after, Maine created its own version. The Connecticut roll is served warm with butter, while the Maine roll is served cold with mayonnaise and celery. Over time, lobster rolls spread far beyond New England. They can now be found in food trucks, diners, and even fast food chains across the country. Boston baked beans. Just like lobster rolls connect to New England, baked beans also have deep roots there. Boston baked beans are made with navy beans, molasses, salt pork, and a little mustard. Slowly cooked, they become sweet, savory, and very filling. Back in colonial times, beans were cooked on Saturday nights because cooking was not allowed on Sundays. Beans could be left simmering overnight and then eaten the next day. Molasses, which came from the sugar trade, was a common ingredient, so it was added for sweetness. Families also used whatever small bits of pork they had. This tradition grew so strong that Boston became known as Bean Town. Families had their own bean recipes. Some used different beans like yellow-eyed beans, while others changed the sweetener, using maple syrup or brown sugar instead of molasses. Many people baked beans in clay pots and later used crock pots. They were almost always served with brown bread, a hearty bread steamed in a can. Even today, many New Englanders still enjoy beans on weekends or at gatherings. Buffalo wings. Moving from New England to New York, we find another favorite: buffalo wings. These are chicken wings fried until crispy, then coated in a spicy sauce made with cayenne pepper. Usually served with celery and a cool dip like blue cheese or ranch. Buffalo wings were created in 1964 at the Anchor Bar in Buffalo, New York. Teresa Bellissimo, the owner, used extra chicken wings to make a snack for her son and his friends. She cut the wings into drumsticks and flats, fried them, and tossed them in hot sauce. The wings were an instant hit, and people in Buffalo quickly loved them. Soon, wings spread far beyond Buffalo. Now they come in many flavors, like garlic, honey, or teriyaki. They are especially popular at sports bars and during football games, where plates of wings are often shared with friends. Crab cakes. Just as wings became a hit in New York, crab cakes have been treasured for years in Maryland and Virginia. A crab cake is a patty made of crab meat, breadcrumbs, eggs, and seasonings. It can be fried, baked, or grilled, and is often eaten as a snack, a sandwich, or even with breakfast. Crab cakes are most often made with blue crab from the Chesapeake Bay. This type of crab is sweet and tender. People have enjoyed crab cakes for centuries, and one of the earliest recipes was found in a 1930s cookbook calling them Baltimore crab cakes. Other areas have their own styles too. On the West Coast, Dungeness crab is often used. Restaurants around the country now serve crab cakes in different ways, but they are still most closely tied to the Chesapeake Bay. Pork roll, Taylor ham. To travel from seafood to something meaty, we arrive in New Jersey. Here people love pork roll, which is also called Taylor ham in the north part of the state. It is a salty pork product that is sliced, fried, and served on sandwiches. The most famous version is pork roll with egg and cheese on a hard roll. The history of pork roll goes back to 1856 when John Taylor created it in Trenton, New Jersey. He called it Taylor ham, but later had to rename it pork roll after food laws changed. Another man, George Washington Case, also made his own version in 1870. Today, people in New Jersey still argue over what to call it, Taylor ham or pork roll, but everyone agrees it is their own special breakfast food. It is so important that in 2015, lawmakers even suggested making it the official state sandwich of New Jersey. Apple pie. When people talk about desserts that feel like home, apple pie is always the first to appear. Its warm apples, sweet cinnamon, and flaky crust make it more than just a treat. It feels like comfort on a plate. The saying, "as American as apple pie," shows how much it means in this country. Even though apple pie started in Europe, Americans made it their own. Colonists planted apple trees, and soon pies were baking in kitchens across the land. In New England, some people even added sharp cheddar cheese to the crust. In the Midwest, crumb toppings with sugar and butter became popular. Over time, families passed down their own recipes, and the pie became part of American tradition. Hamburger and cheeseburger. Now hamburger. With a juicy beef patty inside a soft bun, the burger has become a symbol of American comfort food. Add cheese, and it turns into the cheeseburger, which is just as loved. The idea of ground beef patties came from Hamburg, Germany, but the United States made the dish into something bigger. Roadside diners, family cookouts, and restaurants all help spread its fame. Across the country, burgers take on many shapes. In Minnesota, the Juicy Lucy hides melted cheese inside the meat. In California, burgers often have avocado and sprouts for a fresh taste. One special example is a bacon cheeseburger with lettuce, tomato, onions, and pickles stacked high on a brioche bun. Some cooks even make sauces like creamy aioli with a little spice to give it extra flavor. Hot dogs. After the burger, another handheld classic takes the stage: the hot dog. A hot dog is a sausage tucked into a bun, often eaten at ball games, cookouts, and city street corners. It is simple to carry, quick to eat, and full of tradition. German immigrants first brought sausages to America, and they soon became hot dogs. But each region gave the hot dog its own style. In Chicago, people pile them with mustard, onions, tomatoes, pickles, peppers, and celery salt, but never ketchup. In New York, hot dogs are topped with sauerkraut and spicy brown mustard. In the Southwest, Sonoran hot dogs are wrapped in bacon and covered with beans, jalapenos, and crema. Over time, chefs started creating gourmet versions with fancy toppings, but the hot dog never lost its charm. Next up, meatloaf. Meatloaf is made of ground beef mixed with breadcrumbs, eggs, and seasonings, shaped into a loaf and baked until tender. This dish began as a way for families to stretch food during hard times, like the Great Depression. With just a small amount of meat, they could feed the whole family by mixing it with bread and spices. Over the years, it turned into a beloved comfort meal. Every family has their own special meatloaf recipe. Some glaze the top with ketchup, others use sweet tomato sauce, and some even add cheese in the middle. Around the world, other countries have similar dishes, but the American version is known for its loaf shape and rich glaze. It remains as one of the most nostalgic foods in the country. Cornbread. Cornbread is one of the oldest American dishes, and its story begins with Native Americans. Long before European settlers arrived, they grew corn and ground it into meal to make simple breads. When colonists learned these methods, cornbread became a staple in early American homes. It was filling, easy to make, and used local ingredients. Over time, different regions made their own styles. In the South, cornbread is savory, baked in cast iron, and has a crunchy crust. In the North, it is sweeter and softer, almost like cake. Cornbread is served with many meals, from chili and fried chicken to holiday roasts. Its deep history and simple flavor make it a dish that has stayed strong through the centuries. Barbecue ribs. In the end, we arrive at the smoky, rich taste of barbecue ribs. Ribs are slow-cooked meat, often pork or beef, flavored with spices and sauces until tender enough to fall off the bone. Barbecue in America is more than food. It is a tradition of gathering and sharing. Unlike quick grilling, true barbecue takes hours of low heat and wood smoke to make the meat juicy and flavorful. Different parts of the country have their own styles. In Texas, beef ribs are cooked with dry rub and little sauce. In Kansas City, ribs are coated in thick, sweet tomato sauce. Memphis prefers dry rubs, while Carolina uses vinegar or mustard-based sauces for a tangy bite. Families and friends come together for cookouts, festivals, and competitions. With each bite, ribs show the heart of American food culture. If you like discovering these regional foods, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more food stories.